Hey, it's Matt from twoguysdrink.com, and we're talking to the third person that we've talked to on the Stone collaboration beer. But truly, it's one of the more important guys. It's Mitch Steele. It's from Stone Brewing, head brewer. Mitch was kind enough to let us come on out here for the collaborative brew, talk to him, talk to some of the other brewers. Mitch is not only a head brewer for Stone, previously high bigwig mucky muck with Anheuser-Busch, a good home brewer in his own right, and of course musician. But that's my introduction. But he's just kind of a bitchin' guy to hang out with and have a beer. So, Mitch, if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about your collaborative brew that you guys did today.
Well, it's going to be one of the things that we really tried to do with this beer. You know, we always try to do something special when we do these collaboration beers. We don't just want to brew a beer, you know, and we try to make it something special. In this one, given the fact that both Sean and Matt and Stone are somewhat, you know, on this El Camino Real thing, you know that idea came up fairly early on, and we decided to run with it, you know, and so we're brewing a strong black ale, and you know, it's not really a stout, it's not roasty enough to be a stout, and it's definitely not an IPA, it's not hoppy enough for an IPA, but it's going to be a good, strong black beer. It's got some roast barley in it, and it's got some chocolate malt and some carafa and dark candy sugar. Some interesting things about this beer. We're going to use some herbs that we found through our amazing.
Wait, what kind of herbs are those?
Well, you know, they're indigenous California herbs. Actually, what we did, and you know what, I got to give my wife credit because she found one of them. But you know, looking at the whole El Camino Real and the mission thing. You know, the missionaries and all the Spanish colonists grew certain herbs along the whole mission trail, and the Indians grew their own, and so we ended up finding out what some of these were. And one of them, surprisingly enough, was fennel. And in reading in this, the Indians, or not the Indians, but the missionaries grew fennel all along the roads in between the missions because they never knew what kind of spices or herbs they were going to be able to get to flavor their food. So they planted fennel all up and down the California coast.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so we decided to use fennel in the beer. Yeah, I had no idea myself. And then also an interesting herb that we used in this was chia. You know, the infamous chia pet seed.
Is that an herb?
Yeah, well, it's a little.
I just thought of something that grew out of the clay pot.
Well, it's a little seed, but evidently it's full of protein. And the Indians in Mexico used to eat this as a nourishing type of thing, and we mixed it up in water, and sure enough, it gelled up and it turned into this gelatinous, proteinaceous kind of thing. But it's got this really nice floral, almost a hint of licorice type of character to it. And when I was out, we were going to do a pilot brew for this a couple weeks ago. Once we kind of dialed in the recipe, and I went to a market and I was looking for some fresh fennel. And, you know, we were joking about the chia thing. We were like, oh, okay, we're going to make a chia beer. And sure enough, I'm in the spice section in this market, and I found chia seeds. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, seriously, you know.
You're kidding me, right?
I'm not kidding you.
What market did you go to?
I went to Henry's.
Over here?
No, it was up in Temecula, but I'm in there and I'm getting fennel, and I look over and there's a thing of chia, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, you know? So I opened it up and I smelled it, and I said, this smells really nice. So I grabbed some and we brewed with it. And then I you know, they were all game, you know, Matt and Sean were game for it, so I went ahead and got 20 pounds of it so that we could put it in the brew.
That's hilarious. Well, personally, I love fennel, especially in Italian sausage. Depending on whom I'm with, when I'm doing like my homemade pizzas, because I do my own dough, I do my own sauce and all that.
Nice.
If I'm with folks that are good on fennel, I'll like throw some fennel in my sauce. But
yeah,
wow. And so this is good to know because next year I was like kind of on the edge of what Halloween costume I'm going to do between either, you know, Kyle Gass of Tenacious D, or I was going to maybe do the Chia Pet to go to my hairdo.
There you go.
But
well,
if
you
it's
know what?
fennel,
If you rub some of that
hey,
on your head,
that's
just,
good.
yeah.
If I sleep right, then I'll be in good shape.
Yeah, it should just sprout right away.
So I have a question, and maybe I can help in on the beer name. Have you guys got a beer name yet?
Well, we're kind of tying in with this El Camino Real theme. Steve Wagner came up with El Camino Unreal, and I kind of like that, but we don't have anything official yet. I think Sean wants to make a reference to the Mission Indians, kind of like a liquid apology and that kind of thing.
So, Mitch, we haven't really talked to you too much before, but you're out here. We know you did some big time brews, but we also know you're a home brewer and you like good beer. So
absolutely.
What's some of your background?
Well, I guess to start off with, I've got a brewing science degree from Cal Davis. I graduated in 1984. I spent the first 6 to 8 years of my career working in the wine business up in Central California.
Oh, who'd you work for?
I worked for Almaden. The big boy. They were really big at the time. They were the number 2, number 3.
What's funny is Almaden is typically viewed as a jug wine place, but they do make they have their little good things that they do. So
yeah, when I was there was a big effort amongst the company to really make some really nice wines, and I worked at a winery that actually had the Guinness World Record for the largest barrel room in the world.
Wow.
It was a 4-acre room stacked 5 high with barrels, oak barrels that we aged all of our red wine. Every single drop of red wine at Almaden went through one of those barrels, and it was really kind of cool. I learned a lot, but at some point Almaden sold to Hubline, which is a real big jug winemaker, and I kind of soured on the whole thing. And right about that time, a guy named Bill Millar was starting up a brew pub in the town where I lived, which was Hollister, and it was called San Andreas. So I contacted Bill because I saw there was an article in the local rag about it, and so I called him up. I said, hey, I'm a brewing science guy. I'd like to maybe invest in your brewery, because I had been thinking about getting back into the brewing business. And I went and talked with him, and he told me what he was doing. I told him my background, and he brought me on as his brewer. So
Great.
yeah, so I spent 4 years there, working in a pub brewery. We did some really neat things there. We were doing English style ales. He wanted low alcohol beers. He wanted his pub to be a family place.
I love English style ale, so I do a little bit of home brewing.
Yeah.
But I'm now on full grain, but. The home brewing I do ESBs, I do milds, I do some stouts, and then I'm still attempting to get my Vertical Epic O2 clone correct.
Oh, nice.
Usually I sparge too much, and it's just not working like it should.
Yeah.
But that's great. My opinion on that, and maybe it's not yours, but because I'm not a professional guy, is if you're working on the ESBs and the stouts and the milds, those are the ones that'll really tell the faults, and you can tell if you're doing something wrong easier than if you're over hopping something. And quite frankly, hops are expensive. I'd rather just buy something that someone's making and I know it's good. Hey.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time at Anheuser-Busch. I spent 14 years brewing for Anheuser-Busch, and when I was doing that's when I was home brewing really hoppy beers because I had to satisfy it somehow, and I had to get the brewing with hops urge kind of dealt with, So that's when I was brewing double IPAs and big barley wines and things like that.
So I appreciate all your time, Mitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really appreciate you letting us come out here and film. And I'm glad Stone brought you on. Very smart move because they took a guy who knows, big production, and they're really forward thinking. So any final words for us?
Well, the beer should be out in mid-March. It was a great, fun beer to brew. Matt and Sean are great. It was all about having some fun and getting together, and I think the beer is going to be really nice. So, again, another collaboration beer. It'll definitely be interesting if it's not incredibly awesome, which I think it will be.
Okay. Great. Cheers, sir.
Cheers, man. All right, Matt.
Thanks
care.
a lot.
All right.
Matt, twoguysdrink.com. Miss you, brother.
Dude, I totally miss you. totally miss you all the time.